So now we want to talk about Meher Baba. There's 2 chapters in Search and Secret India on Meher Baba. What PB does not tell us in Search and Secret India, that Meher Baba is actually the reason why he went to India. So PB writes, I entered into correspondence with someone who is an ardent disciple of Meher Baba, who has since achieved some notoriety in the world as the new Messiah. My correspondent sent tremendously enthusiastic letters about his guru, Meher Baba, so much so that I was tempted to go out and investigate the matter for myself, which he did. And this is why in Search and Secret India, the first chapter, the first teacher that PB meets in India is Meher Baba, because he was met at the boat by Meher Baba's students and brought to Meher Baba. So PB becomes interested in Meher Baba. He has a correspondence with Meher Baba. He agrees to represent Meher Baba in the West, and he decides that one of the reasons for going to India is to see Meher Baba.
And then he start preparing, correct? And he write it to Meher Baba, say, I'm prepared, I'm ready.
He says in 1930, he says, I've now completed my arrangements for my trip to India. It is not necessary for me to write further how much I have been looking forward to this visit and what Meher Baba's permission to stay at the ashram means to me. I know it is the turning point in my life. So even though PB had already had 3 teachers, somehow this information about Meher Baba seems so significant to him that he goes to India to see Meher Baba. Meher Baba writes to PB, come when you can. I will give you wonderful spiritual experiences and enable you to know the real truth about me. You will be shown my inner powers. After that, you will have no more doubts. Mm-hmm. So then PB's ready to go to India to see Meher Baba, and Brother M, right, who we know was one of his teachers, writes him
from London.
Brother, he's still in London. He says, now you are going to another world of consciousness, far different from this one. And I hope that you will be able to regain your lost inheritance. Your inheritance. And then he says, the books which you have stored up in the inner worlds, may they soon be returned to give this day some of the illumination which today needs. So somehow M, who is really a very advanced occultist, sees the books that PB is going to write already exist in the subtle dimension.
And the possible connected with his past life is also.
Right, and so he calls it your inheritance, or in here. It exists within PB already, even though PB doesn't know. All these other teachers know. So he says, with a heart full of love, and he capitalizes love.
You say, let me hear from you often, and kindly proffer my respect to MB.
To Meher Baba. So PB writes in the notebooks, the beginner does not usually know how to distinguish what is true from what is false in the various personal cults or impersonal teachings which compete for his or her allegiance. So actually PB's talking about himself as well as us, because his hopes for Meher Baba are not realized, as we shall see.
Yeah, he thought he really went with expecting so much about this encounter with Meher Baba, and in the end he became deluded.
We'll see. So PB's 32. The name of the boat, interestingly, is the SS Ganges. He arrives in Bombay. He's met by the students of Meher Baba, and he goes to Meher Baba's ashram, which is the one of the early chapters in Search and Secret India. And he finds reasons to be skeptical of Meher Baba, including he starts wondering if Meher Baba is really going to be the new Messiah, the new world teacher, the new Christ, the new Buddha. This is how Meher Baba described himself.
Because then we perceive how PB, since the early age, he always had this A critical mind,
this
correct?
critical mind, and he even
This
wrote,
intellectual, rational, critical mind as the searcher.
right, and he even wrote an article early in his journalistic career. I forgot the title, but it's on why mysticism needs science and why science needs mysticism. But PB's also very ethical. He made certain commitments to Meher Baba, so he kept them. And as a result, he traveled around India giving talks and trying to raise money for some of Meher Baba's projects, including a school, which also is not mentioned in Search and Secret India. So while he's traveling, he writes to Meher Baba, I am looking forward in the near future to returning to the ashram and to receiving spiritual enlightenment at your hands. I need it if I'm going to go back to the West with any message for their materialistic minds. So Brother M has said, you're going to bring something from India to the West for the Westerners who need it.
Meher Baba.
He thought it was going to be the teachings of Meher Baba. So, and Meher Baba was looking for someone to represent him in the West. And Meher Baba hoped that PB would be this person. PB would be a good person. He was a journalist. He had been an editor of an occult magazine. So PB was well positioned to be the spokesperson for Meher Baba. But PB ultimately felt a little nervous about this. He did not want to be anointed the spokesperson or student of Meher Baba. And we see this throughout PB's life. We see that other teachers, including Maharishi Mahesh Yogi, wanted people to represent them and proclaim their message, and PB always withdrew.
He never wanted, correct, being named by group or limited by any spiritual teachings.
Right, even though obviously he was happy to speak about Ramana, etc., he didn't want to be in a box. So PB says, with regard to Meher Baba, it did not take long to discover that he was a prophet who could give excellent advice to others, but unfortunately was able to live up to it himself. In short, his messianic claims were nothing more than claims. With regard to the yogis and fakirs, I found that religious fanatics, self-deluded gurus, and foolish sentimentalists could be discovered in plenty, but genuine sages and fakirs possessed of demonstrable occult powers were rare enough to make one despair sometimes of ever finding them. And PB himself despaired at different points of meeting a real teacher in India who he could relate to. He saw that Meher Baba wasn't practicing what he preached. PB goes into this in great detail in Search and Secret India. We're only giving you a brief outline. So PB writes in the notebooks, most people are incompetent to know whether a person has really arrived at the highest goal or not. Hence comes their misguided worship of holy men who are still working out their salvation, but who prematurely announce their attainment of it. The result is foreseen by Jalaluddin Rumi, the Persian dervish poet, who said, to say I am he at the wrong moment is a curse. But to say I am he at the right moment is a blessing. So, like, how do you know who's the real deal? We also know the common phrase, he who speaks does not know, and he who knows does not speak. So the fact that Meher Baba is bragging so much about being the world Messiah in the end makes PB suspicious. By the way, PB quotes Rumi here. We want to mention that PB was a very devoted student of Sufism. He very much respected and loved Islam. He says in the notebooks that his most favorite place is to sit in the courtyard of a mosque. He did extensive research on Sufi teachings. And throughout the notebooks, you'll see him quoting Sufi teachers and Muslim theorists. So this is not as well known about PB as his Indian influence. So let's keep a little more with what PB says about Meher Baba. I have imbibed sufficient pious wisdom and prophetic forebodings to suffice me for the time. I have not wandered to distant parts of the world merely to hear religious assertions or declarations of grandeur. Right? He's talking about Mayor Baba. I want facts, even if they are to be facts of a strange, uncommon kind. And I want reliable evidence, better still, something personal, something to which I can testify to my own satisfaction. So later he gets this from Ramana, but he does not get it from Mayor Baba.
But when he meets Ramana and Shankaracharya, seems that the skepticism of him also start growing, correct?
The skepticism of Mayor Baba. So what happens is
Baba.
Pibi leaves Mayor Baba. He travels around India giving talks for Mayor Baba. He meets different yogis and teachers. That's all explained in Search and Secret India. And then he's brought to Shankaracharya of Kanchipuram. And then he's brought to Ramana. And we'll talk about them later in a subsequent video. But what's important for now is he perceives them to be real teachers.
The contrast between them, correct?
The contrast between them and Mayor Baba makes him really doubt Mayor Baba. But true to PB being faithful, he goes back to Mayor Baba again.
He goes back.
And when he goes back, it all ends for him. And this is the second chapter in Secret India about Mayor Baba, where he explains that in the end, he became disillusioned with Mayor Baba. We know that throughout PB's life, he wrote about the dangers of false teachers, the need to have discernment in evaluating the spiritual claims of a person, and the possibility that mystic experiences could be misinterpreted by the person's ego in such a way that they are distorted and they serve the person's ego. And in Jung's term, you can get inflated from having a mystic experience. So PB says in the notebooks, if the personality has been unevenly developed, if its forces have not been properly harmonized with each other, and if defects remain in thinking, feeling, and willing, then at the threshold of illumination, these defects will become magnified and overstimulated by the upwelling soul power and lead to adverse psychical results. So this is what PB later says is what happened, in his opinion, to Mayor Baba, and it reminds us of why PB emphasizes so much the long path and the development of the whole personality. So when all this power comes into you, you have a stable foundation that can absorb it. PB says one enters the light with the equipment of experience, knowledge, and character which accompany the intuition leading you into it. The condition of such equipment cannot help but affect what one sees or learns. So you need to be prepared.
If you aren't then so prepared, even if you have some light, correct, it could be disturbed.
Right. You can get unbalanced by the illumination.